Hello and welcome to Smash Hit Sports. I'm your host, Cody. Today we are breaking down the best bets from the weekend slate. We have an incredible slate of NFL games ahead of us, and I have one of the best and most brilliant minds in the sports gambling community, JJ at Taking the Points. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. First off, can we talk about it's taking the points on TikTok, but it's taking the point 5 on Twitter.
Yeah, so it's
Who has taken the points? Do we need to fight them?
My whole reasoning behind this was the +5, like the T and the 5 the T is supposed to be a plus sign with the 5, so it's like taking the points. Pretty cool, like a little trademark. That's what it is on Twitter with the 5, and that's where I went with it. So
okay, cool. Either way, all of JJ's stuff is going to be linked in the show notes, in the YouTube, the whole 9 yards, wherever you're listening to this. So. That being said, JJ, you hit a Babe Ruth-esque called shot last weekend. You had a TikTok video that said, hey, look, Colts, not Colts and the points, Colts money line. And you nailed it. How good does it feel, like when a bet like that cashes, you call your shot and it hits?
I mean, you saw it, right? I was so excited afterwards. I was like, getting on the Twitter and then just bragging about it. Like, point to one other person who had the Colts money line today. And I knew there was 100 people on there. I know I can't take full credit, like I was the only one on it. But, just that feeling of hitting like a plus 220 play. I mean, if you really think about it, sometimes you get like 2 or 3 favorites and you turn into a plus 220 play. But instead, I got just one team, one play, and that was the one. And I actually put a lot more than just like your average bet on it. I thought, and I was more confident in that one to hit because I thought the Colts were due, and sure enough, they were, and they got the job done right at the end there. So it definitely feels good. It's definitely one to brag about, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And it seems like underdogs all year have been hitting at a pretty good pace. I know they're incredible against the spread, but I feel like money line, they're pretty good as well. I think they're 64% against the spread in the NFL to start the year, which if that's your strategy, just taking every underdog, by all means, go for it. I don't have the discipline to do that, man. There's no way.
I mean, when it comes to betting too, it's like you want to be right? You're basically making a take, right? And you're putting your money on it. Like you're putting your money where your mouth is. It's like literally you're making your take and you want to be right. So, I know some people in the industry, I know one in particular, my boy Matty Betts, I know he's betting on every single underdog straight up against the spread, and he's doing successful on it. But that's no fun, man. I want to be right. Like I want to be right. That's the whole point, is like calling a shot, putting your money down on it, and getting it right. I mean, that takes the whole fun out of it if you're just being that disciplined, in my opinion.
I agree 100%. I love Matty's content. He does a hell of a job. But the point of, I want to be smarter than the bookmakers, which I know I'm not, but there are some weeks where I absolutely feel like it. And I think together we can give out some incredible plays for this weekend. Let's run through the slate. We have to start Thursday Night Football. I am a massive Bengals fan. Dolphins at Bengals. Bengals opened at 2.5. They're now at 3.5. I've seen 4 on some books. Over-under is 47. How do we feel about this game?
I mean, it's crazy when you saw it open, right? I mean, Bengals are 1-2 right now. They look kind of awful their first 2 games. Lost to a Dak-less Cowboys team. They ended up, losing their first game of the year as well. And, they don't look as good as you thought they were going to come out and look. They definitely have that Super Bowl hangover, runner-up hangover, right? But to open up as favorites against the hottest team in the league, and, it's either them or the Eagles. You can make your case for either. But, I mean, they're playing great football right now. That come from behind, win against Baltimore, and now knocking off the best team in the league. However, I think you guys are at an advantage there. Coming off a short week, being in Miami, playing in the hot-ass weather in Florida, and then having to come on a short week. Their defense played a lot of snaps now. I think Joe Burrow's going to take full advantage with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and I think they might pick the secondary apart. And I'm curious to see how many points they actually do put up, because I think they're coming for heads. Joe Shiesty has been back, and I'm excited to see how he comes this game.
Yeah, I don't have a play on either side on this one, and I hate betting on my own team. I do, though, like the Joe Burrow's over in yards. I think it's at 267-ish. Depending on the sports book you look at, but Dolphins are second in pass yards allowed. And like you said, I think the Bills had possession of the ball like 40 minutes of that 60-minute game against Miami last week. So I really like the Bengals in this one. I like Joe Burrow. I would probably take the Bengals -4, -3.5, but I'm going to stick with a prop on this one. I'm going to take Joe Burrow's over in yards.
I like that one, man. And I have a couple prop plays on it too, because I'll go ahead and like just ruin it. I'm right there with you on Joe Burrow. I think he's going to go off. I'm excited for that one. He's got to throw the ball to somebody. How about Jamar Chase? I'm on his over receiving yards. I mean, he's averaging 13 targets a game right now. So yeah, it's his best friend. I would take his over receptions, which I think is at 6 right now. That's a smart play too, but I'm gonna take his over yards, man. I think he's good for a blowout. I mean, he only had 29. He had like 6 receptions or 5 receptions last game for only 29 yards. But I mean, I think this one he's gonna catch a long ball or two, break that 76 yards, and take that one there. And then on the other side of the ball, I am gonna take Tyreek Hill against Eli Apple. Him coming out and just saying, I'm going to toast him and I'm ready for you and all that other stuff. I think he's going to want to throw him the ball. So I like his over yards too at 71.5. So those are my 3 plays on Thursday night.
Yeah, you want to talk about a called shot. Tyreek is calling Apple out, which as a Bengals fan, don't know how I feel about that. Headed into Sunday, yeah, I'm a little nervous. Headed into the Sunday slate, let's start 2-1 Vikings at the Saints. The Vikings are 2.5-point favorites. This is your London game. Nice little 9:30 kickoff. Over under set at 43.5. I would lean over, and I think this line is so low because it's the London game. What are your thoughts on? Does that impact how you bet this game at all? That it's in London?
I mean, they fly out. I think most of these teams. I mean, from my dad used to coach the Redskins, and I know that when they used to have London games over there, they flew out literally either after their game or the day right after. So they're already adjusted. The time is not an issue over there. You would think it is, but it's not. The lag is not going to be there. However, I'm still looking at the offensive side of the ball for the Saints, and it hasn't been there yet. It's been non-existent, right? We got Michael Thomas who's hurt. You got Jarvis Landry who's hurt. Jameis Winston didn't practice today, so there's a lot of question marks there, and I'd be worried to see, if their offense would even get it going. And I think the Vikings would try to have to hit that by themselves. So, but I would lean the under in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I also like the Vikings -2.5. I don't think Jameis is 100%. I know they talked about him having fractures in his lower back. I don't know if I trust Jameis Winston perfectly healthy and at not 100%. Give me the Vikings in this one. I also think, is 9:30 the opposite of prime time? Is that like how that works? It's the inverse. Are we going to get superhero Kirk Cousins?
That's what I don't know, because he's the only game on the day, right? So you might as well consider it prime time. I mean, even though it's at 9:30 in the morning, that's a prime time game. I would think everyone's eyes are on it. Everyone's going to get that game on their house. All the eyeballs are on Kirk, so maybe this is considered. So maybe you should look the other way.
That is a great point. Maybe we hold off on that one until later in the week.
Yeah.
But, Titans at Colts. Colts are -3. Over-under's 43. I love the Colts offense in this one. They have not looked great. Matty Ice has 7 fumbles through 3 games, which the fact that they have any wins more or less are 1-1-1 with that stat line is kind of crazy. I think he rights the ship in this one. Tennessee's secondary is very hurt. Michael Pittman Jr. came back last week, but I think now he's 100% healthy. I like the Colts team total. I believe it was 24. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, give me the Colts in this one. I think their offense is going to propel them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, I was harping all season long, preseason long, that this is going to be a different Colts team with Matt Ryan at the helm. But to be honest with you, it looks the same. I thought that, coming from Carson to, Matt Ryan, I mean, it's not a huge upgrade, but it's like going from like a 2002 Volvo to like a 2016 Chevy Cruze, right? You're getting a better model. But at the end of the day, I mean, is it the best car? No, not really. But Matt Ryan has held on the ball. There's a couple questionable plays that he made against last week against the Chiefs where I'm like, oh my God, how does he make that? Why doesn't he feel that? So hopefully he gets it together, man. The Titans defense isn't very good. We know that. So hopefully he takes advantage, and I do like the Colts to win this one.
Yeah, I think this is a game where I'd feel differently about it if it was in Tennessee, but at home in Indianapolis, I like that there. If you would have, going on to the next game, if you would have told me that these two teams were both 2-1 facing off in week 3, I would have called you a liar and an idiot. However, we have the 2-1 Bears at the 2-1 Giants. Giants are 3.5-point favorites. Over-under's 39, which is incredibly low. And I kind of like the under. Do you have a feeling of how this Giants offense looks without – because Sterling Shepard is now out for the year, tore his ACL. What does this look like from a gambling standpoint?
Honestly, these are still two terrible teams. I'm not sold on either of them, right? I mean, the Chicago Bears had kind of an easy way. I mean, that win against San Fran was pretty good, but I mean, they played in a monsoon. Their run game is very good. Their offensive line is doing a little bit better. I thought their offensive line was going to be terrible, but I mean, it's still in the middle of the road. But the Giants, at the same time, they're not. I don't think they're all that there either. I think Saquon Barkley is going to take full advantage of the Bears' defense, but he's been having a heck of a year, and I think he's just going to build onto his resume. But I think I'm going to lean more towards the Chicago Bears with the value. I'm not really saying they're going to win the game, but I mean, if you really put these two teams, next to each other, I mean, you might as well take the plus 140 or 145 if you get it from the Bears. I would take that more than taking the Giants minus 3.5. So I'll go with the Bears money line.
That would be something that I would love to see, is how games typically go with totals under 40. If it typically leans the underdog winning more, or covering the spread more, or the favorite. But I like the Bears and the points here as well. I don't think the Giants should be 3.5-point favorites on anybody in the league. Plain and simple. I don't care where this game is played. I don't care that it's in New York. Give me the Bears plus 3.5. Bills at Ravens, one of the better games in the early slate. Bills are -3. Over-under's 52.5. I feel like everybody and their mom is going to bet this over. Mm-hmm. So I would lean under. However, man, that Ravens defense stinks.
Yeah, they're horrible. They're really bad. I think the over's the play. As much as you don't want to take it, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with last week with the Dolphins, right? You thought that game could have soared over as well. It went under, but it was a divisional game. I'm not impressed with the Ravens defense. They stink. They stink. The Ravens defense stinks. Lamar Jackson has to put up 5 touchdowns every game for his team to win, and he's doing it. I mean, hats off to Lamar, but I don't know at a consistent basis that he's going to be able to do that. And the Bills' defense is a little bit better. I think the Bills are going to roll this game. I think they're going to whoop Ravens. I would take the Bills. They bounce back here. And I think they figure it out on offense and actually capitalize with all that time of possession this week.
I like that. I think this is a great spot for a bounce back win for the Bills. I like to bet on teams that didn't cover the week before and then have an opportunity to cover this week. This is one of the spread on this is bet almost exactly 50-50, at least on FanDuel. So it seems like the public doesn't have a favorite in this one. And Bills I don't know. I'm still torn. But your Bills -3 bet is probably what I would lean. Definitely like the over here. Chargers at Texans. Texans are 5.5-point dogs. Chargers are 5.5-point favorites here. Over-under is 44.5. I'm assuming Justin Herbert's playing again. It looks like they're going to get Keenan Allen back. I think the Texans cover at home.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be loud. It's going to be loud. And Chargers were very disappointing last week. I mean, Justin Herbert killed me. I had the under in that game, and he turned the ball over twice in his own territory, and that's highly unlike him, right? When we talk about the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, he's definitely on that list. Well, in some people's 100%. List. So to make those kind of mistakes as Justin Herbert, it's really unlike him. I think he bounces back, man. I think his ribs are really an issue, and he needs Keenan Allen. I mean, I don't consider Justin Herbert the leader of the Chargers. I consider Keenan Allen the leader of the Chargers, and people might say, well, he's the quarterback. I mean, yeah, he can probably take command of the huddle and do all that, but the veteran leadership that Keenan Allen brings, and I really feel like is a big part of that offense. So having him back and doing the things he can do, and I really think he's one of the most underrated receivers in the league. Sure, he's always hurt, but he had the short end of the stick with all his ACL injuries and all that. But I think with having him back on the field, and if he does play, look for the Chargers to cover against the Houston Texans.
Ooh, so we're on opposite sides here.
Hey, that's okay.
Look, we can't agree all night. It is what it is. I like the way Davis Mills plays football. I think he controls the ball pretty well. The turnovers that they had last week, I felt were pretty uncharacteristic. I felt like some things were forced against a bad Bears team. I think the Chargers defense also, like, I understand that they can get to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. But Davis Mills has a lower, I think he's in the bottom half in time to throw in the NFL. Lovie Smith does do a pretty good job of, having that offense get the ball out quick. I like the Texans 5.5. We'll see. I don't really have
Bosa's out as well. Bosa's out this week too, so you don't have to worry about the two monsters on both sides of the ball. So
even better.
Worry about the Mac.
Even better. Love to hear it. Next game on the slate: Seahawks Lions. Lions 4.5. I'm shocked that the Lions are a 4.5 point favorite against Seattle. I felt like Seattle has at least put up a pretty good fight in every game they've played this year.
Yeah, for sure. But the crazy part is, man, they open at 6-point favorites. And when could anybody say that the Lions would open as 6-point favorites ever?
Yeah, no kidding.
The fact that they opened that high is absolutely insane. And, again, 4.5 points against the Lions team, and that, people are all so high and mighty on these guys, Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell. Sure, it's an exciting time, but, again, I think there's more value on taking the plus 4.5 on the Seahawks. I really don't see one team being better than the other. So give me the Seahawks. I like that play.
I agree. I also like Amon-Ra St. Brown over in yards. They have just been feeding him relentlessly all year. He has been a guy that I think, especially from a fantasy football perspective, everybody is pretty high on, but I don't think bookmakers love his total yet. But as long as I can get that consistent passing volume in Detroit, which I think we're going to see again this week, especially if DeAndre Swift doesn't play, I like his over in yards. I think it's right around 78, depending on the book. So give me that. Jets Steelers. This game stinks. This game stinks.
Yep. But hey, you can always make it better by throwing some money on it, right?
Absolutely. Do you have a side on either of this? Over under is 40.5. Steelers are 3.5 point favorites at home.
I mean, when I say that, you could throw money on it. I still think if I throw money on it, I can't make it that exciting. I don't know, man. The Jets have been playing okay. Okay. I mean, they got their butts whooped against the Bengals last week, but at the same time, I mean, they came back and beat the Browns, right? I mean, the week before they got their asses beat, but they're moving the football. Zach Wilson's coming back this week, so we'll see how it goes. But I think I'll take the Steelers, man. I think the Steelers are the better team at the end of the day. So I would lean Steelers, money line.
I like that. I'm interested to see. I'm probably going to hold off on this one. I want to see Zach Wilson play with his full slate of weapons, right? We've seen what new weapons can do for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. You bring in Garrett Wilson. You have Elijah Moore healthy for the full year. He wasn't healthy, a ton last year. You bring in Breece Hall. I want to see how this New York Jets offense and Zach Wilson look together, so I'm probably going to stay away from this one. If I don't know what the interception prop is on Zach Wilson, I don't have that in front of me, but I will probably hammer that against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense. That defense.
I bet that's going to be a little juicy. That's going to be on the juicy side, but I think that's a smart bet.
Hey, sometimes even the juicy side is still the right play if it hits. So. Yeah. What do you look for when you look to tease a game? Is it specific numbers? Are you looking for, just a specific outlook on the game? What's in your mind says, hey, I'm going to tease this one?
Divisional games too, when you're getting like 3 or 3.5 points to road dogs or to home dogs, I think you look to the most. So like if, say the Raiders are playing in Denver, I know that's one of the two. I can't remember who's the favorite, but that's a home dog. I'd probably tease them up to like 8.5 or 8, whatever it is. Get like a touchdown there. You can also see where the weather's at. I like teasing the total points too. If I see a lot of rain coming in or it's windy, I'll tease it up so I can get the under there. It just all depends. There's a bunch of different factors in that I look for.
Cool. I love the Wong teaser. I know is something that people harp on, that you're trying to get through specific numbers. It is what it is. I
don't really look at that as much, man. And sometimes people bother me too. And I got into a huge fight with somebody about this of teasing through zero. I don't like promoting it. It is a bad habit. But I mean, if I see like for an example, the Bengals against the Jets. Bengals are 0-2. I mean, if they go 0-3, they're screwed. They're out of the playoffs, right? I mean, they're barely hanging on for hope now. No 0
Yep.
team has made the playoffs last year with the added game that started 0-2. So I mean, they're already at the short end of the stick. But then, you go a team with the Jets who came off a big come from behind win, and this is a must win for the Bengals. I'll tease through 0. I wouldn't really care. Get it from 5 to get a +1. I'll take that every single time. So I mean, some of the some of that lingo and all that, it doesn't really pay no mind. At the end of the day, it's your money. It's what you want to do with the line and make that play as you want.
I agree 100%. And you're betting for fun. You know what I like? Obviously, we all try to make money. Winning is fun. But at the end of the day, if you're betting so much that you're worried about like, oh, I'll never tease through all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yep.
We got Browns at Falcons. I'm taking the Falcons money line. At home, I think they have a decent team for the most part. They beat Seattle pretty handedly. I think Arthur Smith has settled down from the first 2 games. I think those first 2 games were the play calling was sporadic here and there. When the offense was humming, they put up points in bunches, but when it was dead, it was bad. I like the Falcons in this one. Am I crazy?
No, not at all. I think they win. I think it's my favorite play of the week, to be honest with you, and people might think that's crazy as well. I love
Let's
the play.
go.
Yeah, so I mean, first week, New Orleans, they had a commanding lead. They were up 24-8 at one point, 7 or whatever it was. They lost. Saints came back and won the game by a field goal. Right, the second game you're looking at it. I mean, yeah, they were getting their butts whooped by LA, but LA was coming off a win. They had a fly cross country play there. They still played with a lot of heart. They still came back. They ended up, getting the cover and then also winning the game, having the chance to win the game. They played hard there. Last week, you saw what they did against Seattle. They went on the road. They stayed out West Coast. They ended up beating Seattle in Seattle, which is a tough place to play. And the talent level is probably the same. So, I mean, sitting at where they're sitting at is pretty good. And this is a definitely disappointing spot to be in if you are the Cleveland Browns, because I just have a feeling that this team really has nothing to lose, either the Falcons. And they know it. Everybody knows it. Arthur Smith's going to be safe no matter what after this year. And Marcus Mariota, man, he's been playing pretty good. I mean, he fumbled the ball last week, I think once, and threw a pick. But
yeah,
I think Cordell Patterson's doing great, and Drake London's playing awesome. He's looking like the offensive rookie of the year so far. So, I mean, I'll go with the Falcons here. I like the Falcons. I'm right there.
Yeah, Cordell Patterson's second in the NFL in rushing yards through 3 weeks, which is shocking that somehow Arthur Smith was able to figure out a 30-year-old kick returner, but it is what it is. Commanders at Cowboys. I hate this game. I would probably lean the Commanders in the points. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, especially with Cooper Rush. I mean, people are sold on this guy. He's being 3-0. I think there's a lot of hype surrounding him. But at the end of the day, he's still a backup quarterback. I still need to see more for this guy to be a 6.5-point favorite. I still think it should be right around 4. I think it's too many points. But that offensive line for Washington looked horrible against Philadelphia. I think they allowed 9 sacks. Carson Wentz did not look good. He didn't get comfortable at all. Micah Parsons is going to be coming at his neck this week. And that's the one thing I'm not afraid of, or that I am afraid of. Kind of like the under there. And again, that's probably a place where you can tease it. Get the under, tease, and then also take the Dallas Cowboys. So.
Yeah, I don't know if it's even possible to bet a forced fumble prop, but Micah Parsons, holy shit, he is going to do at least 2 or 3 things in this game that remind you why he was one of the top 3 players for Defensive Player of the Year at the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
and he might be number 1 through 3 weeks, but the dude is a machine. We get Cardinals at Panthers. Panthers are -1.5 here, which I thought was shocking. Does this Cardinals team stink? The last time these two teams played, we had the Cam Newton revival game coming back on the Panthers. They won fairly convincingly. I think it was in Arizona. I love the Cardinals here. Why is this a trap line? This screams trap line.
I think this is, I think a lot has to do with it being in Carolina, right? The game's in Carolina. I just think that has a lot to do with it. it's Cardinals all day. That's the right play. I mean, there's no way you can have me bet on Baker Mayfield and the way he's been looking this season. No chance whatsoever. Cardinals coming off a big win against who they just beat. They just beat not the Raiders. They lost last week, but I mean they're okay. I mean they're in okay shape. They lost to the Rams, right? They had a chance to kind of come back, maybe make it a 17-20 game, settle with a field goal, try to get the onside kick and score, but that was that. I think they're going to get the offense rolling in. But the Carolina Panthers defense is pretty damn good. They are pretty good, so they're going to have to score like 17 to 20 points if they want to win that football game. If not, I think the Carolina Panthers could put up a couple touchdowns and end up winning. So with that being said, give me the under in that game.
Yeah, there was some stat floating around that like Matt Rule has one win when opponents score more than 17 points. I think he was like 1-18.
Really
ridiculous as a head coach. So
and
it's funny that you said all the Cardinals need to get to that 17 to 20 mark. So
yeah.
Maybe if they hit that 20, that's the magic number to get to. Over under. 43 is where a lot of these games seem to end up. I could see it. This is one that I'm going to stay away from total wise. I just can't get a read on it really. It'll be interesting to see if they use Rondale more now that if he's healthy this week. I don't know if.
Yeah, he's limited in practices right now. He is practicing, but on a limited basis. I don't think they're going to rush him into things. He might be on a play count, so I wouldn't really count on him. And that's probably a lot to do with it. So
that is fair. We get Broncos at Raiders. Raiders are 2.5-point favorites. This was kind of a shocking line to me. Over under is 45.5. I love this game as an under divisional matchup. I think that these are, unders have been hitting at a great rate all season long. I think it's almost 60% or close to it. But I'm going to take the under in this one. I like a division under.
Yeah. I'm all over the Raiders this week. All over the Raiders. It's one of my bigger plays this week. I like the Falcons. I think they get a much-needed win here. 0-3, not very good, but they're going to have to get things going, right? So Devontae Adams, I saw that there was a little hostility in the news with Devontae Adams and Derek Carr not throwing to him. And when I look at stories like that, I feel like they're going to start to get things together. And you might see Devontae Adams have a huge game this week. So with that being said, man, I really think the Raiders get that win, and they're going to get that in the win column. And let's be honest here, the Denver Broncos haven't looked good the last 3 games. So I got to go with the Raiders here.
Yeah, and that was the Raiders are the only team that are 0-for against the spread. I guess Houston is 0-2-1, or no, that's win-loss. So are the Raiders are the only winless team?
I think they may be. Yeah,
that's shocking to me. Them and New Orleans are the only 2 teams that do not have a win against the spread. So 0-3. Hopefully they can get a bounce back here. Patriots and Packers. Packers are 10-point favorites. I think that line might have moved to 9.5. Yeah, it looks like it's 9.5 on FanDuel. Give me the Packers, I guess.
I think this is the funny part about it. So Bill Belichick came out and said that Brian Hoyer was starting today. I think everyone thought that Bailey Zappi was going to be the starter. I think that's why it's at 10.5, and now you see the trend going down because Brian Hoyer can come in and run an offense for you. That's why I think it's going the opposite direction. At the same time, though, the Packers haven't looked all that great. I mean, the second game against the Bears. But they're playing against the Bears, right? I think that's a given in Lambeau. They should be taking full advantage of that. But I think this is a little bit. I think this is too many points, man. I think this is too many points. Bill Belichick to be favored, to be an underdog by this much it's kind of disrespectful. So, for whatever reason, I'm kind of leaning the Patriots on this one with all those points.
Yeah, I looked at his percentage against the spread as an underdog in his head coaching tenure is absolutely unbelievable. It's at like 60%, and there wasn't a single other coach above 50 outside of Mike Tomlin, which was it nuts. So
who had a lot to do with that, though, man. He doesn't have them anymore.
Yeah, that is true. Although a lot of people have lost a lot of money betting against Bill Belichick. So maybe I'm one of them this week, but I'm taking the Packers.
Okay.
Sunday Night Football, we get a Super Bowl rematch. Chiefs at Bucks. Chiefs are 1.5-point favorites. Over-under is 45.5. Mike Evans is back from his suspension. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes. I like the under in this one. Where's your mind with this game?
I hate that you're on the under, man, because I'm on the over. I think it goes far over. They're going to want the Kansas City is coming on the road. They're going to want to try to score early. They want to try to score against this Bucs defense because the Bucs defense has been the reason why the Bucs all have 2 wins, in my opinion. I mean, they should have lost. They should have really lost that game against New Orleans. I know they won by like 17 points or whatever it was, but once Marshawn Lattimore got thrown out of the game, that's really where the tides turned. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to want to come out, score early. Their offense was spotty against the Colts. So if they get things rolling, Tom Brady's going to have to match that. I don't think they're going to blow them out by any means. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I got like a 28-24 ball game on prime time. Get me the over. I know the prime time unders have been hitting like crazy, but I like the over in this one.
That's fair. So if you have a 28-24 ball game, do you think is it Chiefs? Is it Bucks? What's the?
Oh man, I can't bet against Tom, man. I just can't bet against Tom. But I want to bet against Tom. His offense has been not good. The offense has not been good. So I would say the Chiefs win this one 28-24.
There we go.
I'm not going to bet it. Not going to bet
look,
it.
I hate to put a gun to your head like that, but I had to do it.
Yeah,
I had to make you make a pick.
It's okay.
Monday Night Football, Rams at Niners. Niners are 2.5-point favorites. Over-under is 42.5. I like the Rams in this one. I think the Rams are going to They played a great game in division against the Cardinals last week. The 49ers offense looked absolutely putrid against Denver. I don't know if that says more about the 49ers offense or Denver's defense. Their defense is pretty stout. At the end of the day, if you're going to give Matt Stafford plus the points or Jimmy Garoppolo as a favorite, I'm going to take Matt Stafford and the points all day long.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that they are underdogs, right? The defending Super Bowl champs are underdogs against the San Francisco 49ers after looking abysmal against the Broncos, right? So, I don't know. That sounds like a trap line. We talk about trap lines all the time. That could be a trappy one. The 49ers defense is really good, again, but Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to score the football. And, it's just like one of those where I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't have like a really good take on this game because it could go either way. Divisional game, man. Divisional game.
That's fair enough, but at least it should be hopefully a good Monday Night Football game because I feel like we haven't had many this year. So
yeah, I agree.
Hopefully we can get a good one this week. JJ, do you have any college football plays that you are just itching to let the people hear about?
I got a big money line favorite. I kind of alluded to it on my Twitter. I like Purdue. Especially if Aiden O'Connell plays to beat Minnesota. I know Minnesota looked great against Michigan State. They blew them out. They've been looking great all season. They're now ranked. I think they're, 11 or 13 now in the nation? Yep. Maybe 21, actually. They might be 21.
I was going to say, I think they're low 20s.
Yeah, they're low 20s. So, I mean, but they got the big question mark is if Aiden O'Connell is going to play for Purdue. But, if he doesn't, I think that they're going to give their defense is still pretty damn good. And it's just all how Minnesota's offense plays at the end of the day. I think it's worth a light money line sprinkle there. I got it early at plus 375. I know it's gone down since, but I'd still take it. Don't throw a lot on it, but I think it's worth like a little bit of a sprinkle. I have a few other ones. I mean, I can ramble all day because I've been actually killing college more so than the NFL. But I do like the under 44 in the Wisconsin-Illinois game. Again, Wisconsin coming off a bad loss against Ohio State. Illinois plays pretty good, but they believe in the run. Belema, I can't even say his last name. Belema, there you go. Yeah. Head coach for Illinois. He loves to run the ball. He's got a great running back. Wisconsin, we know that they love their run game too. Defensive battle, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, 24-14, right around that nature. One of the games I'm looking forward to the most is at 12 o'clock too, and that's Kentucky and Ole Miss. That's going to be a great game. Curious to see what happens there.
That's a game with a lot of line movement early. Opened at Ole Miss minus 3.5. Now it's Ole Miss minus 6.5. I didn't see any injury news or anything that rung any alarm bells. I'm shocked to see that much movement, this early in the week. But we'll see.
It's one of those weird ones, man. And Will Levis, I mean, he's good. I mean, he beat Florida. He went in the swamp and beat Florida. I don't understand this line. I don't know who Ole Miss has really played to, have them be 7-point favorites, but I think there's too much value not to take Kentucky. I think Kentucky could be the real deal this year. They've been like at pace the last couple of years where, they're almost there, but then they kind of hit a couple games, but then they fall off. But this one, they have a great quarterback. Their defense is good. Offensively, they're moving the ball. So, I mean, it's hard for me not to take Kentucky. But when teams like these two are playing and one team is like a touchdown underdog, it's hard for me not to say that team is not going to win the ball game, because I think the line makers, the books, the sharps, they all know something that we kind of don't. And that's what I'm trying to figure out in this long journey of being a sports handicapper, right? So, but for me, I'd take Kentucky with the points.
Yeah, that is one game that I'm probably going to stay away from. There are a few college football bets I like this weekend. 2 Friday night games, which we have a really good Friday night slate this weekend.
Yeah, we do.
I like San Diego State plus 6.5. Boise State fired their offensive coordinator. Their quarterback entered the transfer portal, and they lost to – who the hell did they play last Friday?
They just lost to they lost to – oh, my God, who did they just lose to? This someone's UTEP.
Yes, yeah. They didn't just lose to UTEP. Like, they lost in convincing fashion to UTEP. I understand San Diego State has been awesome this year, but 6.5 points in conference against a team without its quarterback and offensive coordinator, I like that bet all day. And then Washington minus 2.5. They're 4-0 against the spread this year. They're at UCLA. Don't get me wrong, I like Chip Kelly, but Chip Kelly as an underdog has not been good. UCLA at home, it's not like their home environment scares anyone at all. And Michael Penix Jr., like just purely based off the numbers, has to get invited to New York for the Heisman the way that he has been playing, at least if it ended today. So love those bets for Friday. I'll give out the rest of them. They'll be on Twitter and TikTok and all that stuff. I don't want to keep you too long, JJ. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. You are an incredible depth of knowledge. Everybody listening, if you could go follow at Take the Points, Taking the Points. Yep. Sorry, at Taking the Points on TikTok. It's at Taking the. Is it point?
Honestly, it'll probably just come up either way. If you start typing in Taking the, then you'll see my ugly ass mug come across your screen. So,
well, look, JJ's kind of a big fucking deal, and you're going to see him all over the internet. So you better find it because he is that damn good. JJ, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Anytime. Good luck to all your bets, man, except the ones that you're on the opposite side.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Yep, later.